But I couldn't throw it away at my house because then somebody would know about the transvestite DA, and I could just see. And so it really was there, and it was really there pretty hard.
When you try to make it go away, and when it comes back, it kind of comes back feeling stronger than the last time.
Yeah. And until the last one hit at the end of 2014. My mom had passed away. And she passed away in 2011. Now I'm back at the farm with my brother and my sister, and we're, having to go through things. And there's my mom's clothes, which I remember borrowing, and her makeup's still there. And so it just hits me. And I ended up taking a bunch of my mom's clothes back with me. Literally, Friday, I left as my old self, and Monday, I came as Jessie, and was doing the exact same job that I was doing. I wish people could have that experience. I hate that so many of the people in the trans community have to suffer because it's so needless. If people would just take the time, do a little bit of acceptance.
This is the Transparency Podcast Show.
Welcome back to the Transparency Podcast Show. I'm your host, Xiaobi Cheng. In our trans community, it's very unique because we have so many different walks, people, different type of people, different career, and it's very unique because usually you don't meet people outside of your career or related to, let's say, your background culture. So today, I'm very honored to have a very different guest, special guest, and she's a attorney, and she's a trans, of course, and her name is Jessie McGrath. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Shelby.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Thank you for driving all the way from the valley to Long Beach to do this show with me.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it.
So, as I mentioned, you're an attorney, you're a lawyer, but we're going to start all the way from the beginning. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit of your background?
Yeah, well, I'm Jessie McGrath, and I have been a deputy district attorney for Los Angeles County for the last 35 years. So that's
20.
And I transitioned on the job. I guess it was 8 years ago now, and so it's been a great job, and they've been actually really good towards me and my whole transition and stuff. But it was kind of a shock when I finally realized I was trans, and it was kind of a shock to everybody around me.
So when you say it's kind of shocked, though, that mean like you don't show any sign, or let's just go back to maybe to your younger self, like in your 20s. Do you feel anything different, like in the gender?
Oh, I knew as a girl when I was a young child. I mean, I got in trouble in kindergarten for going to take nap time with the other girls. I was told I couldn't do that. And I was like, well, why? I'm with my friends. And it was, so it was very early on in me. And I just really didn't know what it was, but there were, I had a silk slip that I had found in one of my relatives' old house in an old trunk that was, and so I kept that hidden, and I would wear that in my room at night at times. I knew it was there. And when I was in college, I actually went to a therapist, and it was for a number of issues. And I was trying to get out that I was a girl, and I just never could say those words.
Yeah.
But as I got a little older, I ended up finding ways to fit in and everything. And I grew up for most of my life in Colorado, but when I was a junior in high school, I moved to a very, very, very small town in Nebraska. We have like 65 people. I had
Okay.
33 people in my high school graduating class.
Wow.
And so being 6'2" and being fairly athletic, I was told I was joining the football team, so I ended up becoming a 3-sport letter person, the vice president of the student council, leading the school play. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was trying to fit in, but I still had that secret and occasionally,
Inside of you,
occasionally taking my mom's makeup and doing my eyes,
Okay.
and then I ended up going to law school, and I ended up getting married in law school.
Okay, so when you got married, is it to a woman?
Yes.
And did she knew anything about your Jessie side?
No, because I never could discuss it with anybody.
Okay.
And so there were a few times in the marriage when she was gone and the kids were all out of the house, and I would put on one of her dresses and I would use some of her makeup and, do my eyeliner but I kept pushing it away.
Right.
That it was wrong. That it was not. It was sinful. Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's related to many people, including myself. Like when I first felt that way, like you said, I didn't know what's that feeling about. And at first, I just thought I might have some gay issue, put it that way, right? And I didn't tell anyone as well. And so I think that's a norm. That's most of us girls' journey.
Yeah, to me, I tell people the hardest person to come out being trans to was myself, because I didn't want. I couldn't see myself that way. I mean, I would envision at times, yes, but I always made it go away. I mean, there was a time when my ex-wife got a job in Colorado, and I was still in LA working in the DA's office, and I got some. I got some camisole or something from Big Lots and some makeup, and and wore that and stuff, and then I had to purge that eventually, but I couldn't throw it away at my house because then somebody would know about the transvestite DA, and I could just see, and so. It really was there, and it was really there pretty hard, but I was always managed to make it go away.
Okay, so when you mentioned go away, because I personally have that experience before, like try to, because I date girls before, and I was thinking, okay, I got married at late 20s, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this feeling will go away, which it did for a short time. And then it came back actually stronger. Did you have that experience? Like when you try to make it go away, and when it comes back, it kind of comes back feeling stronger than the last time?
Yeah. And until the last one hit at the end of 2014. And then it was like,
you can't hide anymore, right?
Why does this keep coming back? Why do I keep feeling this way? Why is this, and so at that point, I finally got online and started doing some research and looking, and I was like, oh my God, this explains so much.
Wow.
This is like, it was like a mass revelation. And I ended up, going from buying sporting stuff on Amazon to breast forms and bras and makeup and dresses. And suddenly it was like back so hard. And so it took me a while, but I finally got online. I looked around and read a lot of literature on the stuff. And it was like, wow, it all makes sense now. It all kind of came together. And so the first person I came out to was a cousin of mine who I grew up with. She's only a couple months younger than I. And so we grew up on my grandparents' farm a lot. We were together a lot. And I got the courage up, I think it was shortly after Christmas. And I asked her if I could tell her something, if she promised she would never, ever, ever, in a million years, tell anybody at all. This is like the most top level secret, and I sent her some pictures.
Oh.
And
what's her reaction?
And she goes, very beautiful, great skin, and that's you? ? And she goes, wow, these are great. How long ago did you have these taken? And it was like, last week. She was so great because when I told her, she was like, oh, it all makes sense now. So it wasn't only me.
Yeah.
It was, one of the people I was closest to in the world understood it.
Right. So, because I heard this thing recently because somehow it says our society, because we have so many single parents, for example. I'm not sure if your family tradition, are they? Because for my personal experience, my dad wasn't really around growing up. Like, he came here like when I was 3. So the documentary I was watching or some YouTube video, they were saying our society, because of that reason, and a lot of male are more feminine these days, or missing the the masculine part of it. So I'm not sure if that's what I heard. So how's your family react to your transition?
Well,
are they surprised?
My parents got divorced when I was 8, but my dad, but I was a girl before they got divorced. Right. So I'm like, I don't think it's that part of it. But they got divorced when I was fairly young, but I was always a sensitive kid, and I always emotional, and it was, that's why I think my cousin, she goes, oh, it's so obvious now. But my mom had passed away. And she passed away in 2011. And so in 2014, we were going to go back to the farm and go through my mom's stuff, because my stepdad had never gone through her things, because he wanted us to do it, and he wasn't ready for it. So, 3 years later, we made plans to go back in the summer, and then he got sick, and then he ended up passing away in September.
Wow.
And so now I'm back at the farm with my brother and my sister, and we're, having to go through things. And there's my mom's clothes, which I remember borrowing, and her makeup's still there. And so it just hits me. And I ended up taking a bunch of my mom's clothes back with me and stuff. And it was, that's when I did that. So, unfortunately, my mom, who always knew she had a daughter, I think she really did. I think she found some of my stuff. I think she had to have known. Yeah. But so she never got to meet Jessie. But my dad, who's now 85 years old, he's actually been really, really good. He sends me birthday cards, Christmas cards, so to my daughter, and writes incredibly beautiful messages in there for me. And so he's really, really good about it. Yeah, my mom actually just passed away 2 months ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no worries. So what you just said is really reflect. I can make the connection. I understand, and it's. Once she passed away, I suddenly realized a lot of things. Like, I feel that she built this invisible bridge for me, and once she's gone, I can see it clearly now. Like, have you seen the Indiana Jones, the second one? When they try to cross that. And it's so amazing. My kids say, "Oh my God, you're becoming grandma." So that's why I can relate it to you. So besides that, when you transition, you mentioned at work, at your DA career, how did that go? It was I wasn't the first DA to transition. There had actually been somebody on the same floor that I was on a couple of years before me, and so in talking with one of my coworkers who I first kind of came out to, he said, well, she went around and talked to everybody kind of individually, and he goes, I really thought that was a great thing. So I went around to the people I was working with and met with them individually and showed them some pictures and told them what was going on. And they were all surprised, obviously. And then apparently one person that I talked to was horrified that I was going to be allowed to use the women's restroom. And so she went to HR and wanted to know what she could do to stop. And so I ended up getting a call from HR saying, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but we've heard a couple of rumors and we just want to let you know that we're here for you if you need us for anything. And I was like, oh, you mean about my transition? Yeah. That's not a rumor. I'm doing that. And I think we should probably get together and talk about what the timelines are going to be. Or when's a good time for you? Can I come down now?
Wow. So, and what happened after that?
I went down, I met with them. I told them that I had a court date for my name and gender change in another month, and that we were in the process of moving from an office building over to the Hall of Justice. And so that was scheduled for like June 15th, which was like 2 weeks after my name and gender change. So I was like, well, hey, we're moving to the new building. Why don't we just make that the official day? And really, so when I moved into the new building, everything was Jessie.
Wow.
They were really good about stuff. It was, for the most part, I mean, every now and then there's so many systems in the county.
Yes.
I think even last year I came across one where it had my dead name on there still. But it's been, they were actually really, really good about everything.
What about in courtroom? You know, from what we see on TV, it's very, very dramatic. And I've been to a jury duty, so it's not as shown as TV or like Judge Judy, as it shows authority. So when after you transition, when you start going to the courtroom, do you feel that authority is demolished from anyone in the courtroom?
No, I've had great interactions with judges, opposing counsel. I don't try cases. I haven't tried a case in over 20 years.
Okay.
Because of the type of work that I was doing. I did a lot of civil work, suing corporations and businesses, and so it was. Everybody was really pretty good about stuff, actually, a couple of times I had like camera crew go into the court with me because they were doing some stuff on things. And but I think I feel more empowered now being myself than I ever did previously.
Yes, I can feel you on this as well, because I was a shy guy before. I was a shy person, and now I'm just feel like it's a blooming, like, aligned to what I feel inside, and I can do better somehow.
For me, it's been an incredible change. I think I had 213 friends on Facebook, on my old one, and I think I have, between friends and followers, like 6,000 people on Facebook now. So and I interact so much more with people.
Your online preference is very creative, I noticed, because I seen you in the kitchen showing a cooking show, and then you also play guitar, right?
Yeah.
And then the clock walk.
That's the clock walk,
that's a famous one.
Oh, that was always fun, because it was nothing funner than having like 15 drunk hot gals in lingerie stuff walking down a couple blocks on Hollywood Boulevard. It was such an amazing time and experience. I absolutely loved that. But yeah, I sometimes do cooking with Jessie on my Facebook Live.
Yes.
And we had the Slayevich sisters, which was a Russian group of Russian spies comedy group that I did with my roommates. And so I try to be a little bit creative. And I have kind of two personas. Like on Instagram, I have two Instagrams. I have one that's my work Instagram that is like mostly for professionally related things. I try not to get too, and then I have my Cloak Walk Jessie one. So, and that's got a lot more followers.
So I see you bring your creativity onto your body. your tattoo, your ink. Do you design all those tattoos on yourself?
I have a very, very amazing tattoo artist who's over in on York Boulevard in Highland Park. He's been doing it for like 30 years, and he's tattooed half the porn stars, half the rock stars in LA. Okay. So he's one of the Inked magazine icons. And so he and I work together on a lot of stuff. And I tell him what I want, and he kind of comes up with an idea. Like my favorite one is it's kind of the Gothic Blind Justice.
Yeah, I don't know. Or we can insert a photo or something.
Can that be seen? Oh.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite one right there.
Wow.
And I got a couple of different pictures online, and kind of told him the idea that I wanted, and then he drew that on my body.
Okay. And this is all collection throughout many years, right? Including your old self.
Probably only most of these are 5 years or less.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't have any tattoo prior to transition? Yeah. So that's what I asked, because I want to ask.
I had one.
I want to ask one very interesting question, because I remember some people that they have a tattoo prior their life, and now they transition. They want to get rid of the one that's prior. So you say you have one. Is it still there, or you got rid of it too after?
It got changed. My tattoo artist came up with this great concept. So when I first saw him,
what did you have before? I'm curious.
It was a very small tribal sun right in my stomach area.
Okay. And then now he changed.
And so when I went and saw him, I told him I wanted 5 roses on my side, and it ends up going from like my hip all the way up to my back. And so there's the 5 roses, but it's like a really giant side piece. And it took, I think, 3 settings to get everything done.
All the way to the front, covered as sun.
No, so I told him I wanted 5, and then I said I wanted a colored rose to signify my transition. Yeah. And so he said, "Yeah, I can do that." He goes, "But we've spent a lot of time together. I kind of know who you are. I kind of understand some stuff." Yes. What I was thinking of is we cover up that one that you have here, and put a lotus blossom. Okay. Because it grows out of something chaotic and muddy and becomes something beautiful. And that transitions over into a colorful, amazing flower that's not like a regular flower. It's a special design type flower. And then it's unique and unusual. And then we incorporate the serpent and original sin and the apple. And so I ended up with this huge other piece that covers from my hip all the way up. And so it's to signify my transition. So all of my tattoos on my right side are black ink. And all of the tattoos on my left side are colored ink.
I just noticed that. How about the one in the middle of your chest?
Well, the one I have in the center here is black ink, and the one I have in the center on my back is colored ink.
Wow. So interesting.
So
yeah. So is it hard? Meaning, like, do you do long sections?
I generally will do 2-hour, 3-hour sessions with him.
Yeah.
And some of this one was like 5 sessions to fully get through on the side there. Some of them are an hour. So it just depends on what the complexity is. But almost all of them tell a different story. So like on my back shoulder here, I have a unicorn. But it's not just any unicorn. It's the unicorn that my mom and my aunt used for their stores, the Unicorn Boutique. And it has my aunt's ashes in it.
Okay. Wow.
So
that's sweet. So now we're going to talk, since we're talking about your body, so we're going to go to your gender affirmation surgery.
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
I like to call it my genital correction surgery because they needed to be corrected. And now everything is just hunky-dory.
Yeah. So you say you transition about your short time, right? And you move on and do the surgery?
I did the express transition because I realized I was old. I was 53 when I came to my understanding.
Right.
And so I knew I was a late in life transitioner. I knew I didn't, I knew I was going to do it because, as my therapist says, yes, it gets stronger as you get older and it never goes away. And I'm like, so this shit's not going away ever?
Yeah,
okay.
yes,
well, then I'm going to, what do I do?
So if you don't mind, because we have Dr. Sinclair on the show before, and he's more focused on the,
the colonic
colonic. Did you do that kind?
No. I did the penile inversion. And I did that. It was 18 months into my transition. And that's because the first 6 months I was like, oh, I'm not going to do anything like that. No, I'm not going to do that. I like that. I'm not going to. And then it was like, I think it was, shortly after I had my FFS and breast augmentation at 6 months. And then I started looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, that's not what I want to see. And so that started my 1 year of having to get electrolysis and other stuff for the surgery and stuff. And it was then that I was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea.
So after you did the surgery, did that change your relationship, lifestyle? Or people who you date change gender-wise, sexually?
Well, that kind of changed right before the surgery. I had been going out with a woman for about 6 years, right before my surgery. And
as Jessie, right? As your old self, or as
I started dating her as my old self. And then I became Jessie. And so she stayed with me for about that 18 months after till right after the surgery, when I ended up kind of breaking up with her because when I started out, she was pretty supportive for the most part. I mean, she did tell me that I would make an ugly woman, and I was like, okay, but at least I'll be a woman. Okay. That's the key focus on this is
right.
I don't care. I'm going to be what I'm going to be. I just get to be me. And then, she wanted to make me promise that I would not be attracted to men. And I was fairly well versed at this point in statistics and other things in dealing with what trans people go through. And I knew that there was a fairly good percentage of trans women who, in going through their transition, change who they're attracted to sexually.
Yes.
And they become attracted to men. Or if they were attracted to men previously, they become attracted to women.
Both.
It goes all different ways. And so when she asked me that, I was like, look, I'm trying to be as honest with you as I can in this whole process. And I said, I can't tell you that I won't do that because I don't know. I don't know if I am in one of the percentage that does that. So
I'm the same way because before transitioning, I never thought about I would like men. And after transition, I only date men, which I stopped attracted to women in that way, romantic way. So what happened after you broke up with her? Did you find somebody?
And part of the reason, I mean, I don't think she really liked women that much. So as I became more and more feminine, I mean, she wouldn't touch my breasts, which,
yeah,
look, I'm a woman. You're my sex partner. You're supposed to touch them, okay? And it's like, so she was not into. Oh, I have no doubt she loved me, but I don't think she was attracted to me at that point. And then
not sexually attracted to a woman.
And she had always said that the one hard line in the sand was that she didn't want me to be attracted to men. And so when I started becoming attracted to guys, and I couldn't do that. I could not say I'm not.
Right.
So that's why I ended up breaking up with her. And that was like 4 weeks after my surgery. And then I lost my virginity 2 weeks after that.
Wow. That fast? I thought you have to wait until 6 months or something. That's what
well,
I heard.
the doctor said 8 weeks, but
8 weeks. Oh, so why am I getting that 6 months from maybe?
I was.
kind of think I have to be a lady monk for 6 months.
I was putting dilators in there, and I thought, well, what's the difference?
Exactly. So now you made a good point.
And so I ended up losing it to another trans woman who I dated for about 4 months, 5 months.
Okay. But she's doesn't have the bottom surgery yet?
She had not had bottom surgery.
Got it.
She never will, because she passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately.
So many people pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what some of my tattoos are, memorials to my friends who've passed.
That's gonna grow. We're gonna have more. I'm sure, right? More ink.
Well, I'm because I lose too many friends. It's something that's not good in the community, and either through the violence that were killed, or
hate crime,
the self-violence, and the suicide. It's truly heartbreaking.
Alcohol abuse, drug abuse. Those are also a larger number of the. And
then I think there's also a lot of medical problems, because a lot of trans people tend to avoid going to the doctor
in a legit ways, right? They self-medicate, and
they don't want to see a medical doctor for things because they're afraid of whatever. And now there's some states that are trying to make it even illegal to get medical treatment for being trans, and that is It's gone suddenly from not letting, wanting trans people to use the bathroom to not wanting trans people to live, and take away our medical care. And that's truly a frightening thing that's going on right now.
Yeah. So you've been on the television many, many times. And
both before I transitioned and after I transitioned.
I think both, right? I don't know. I want to see you as Jessie on the news, ABC.
Last 3 years ago for Pride Week, they did a feature on me. It was actually pretty long. It was I sat down with David Ono, the anchor at ABC, and I think we talked for somewhere around like an hour and a half, and they actually put the entire interview up on their YouTube page. So. Yes.
So, and you are also planning doing some shows. Can we have a little bit? You don't have to say a lot, but just a little bit.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, out of the blue, I get a phone call at my office from a guy who says he's a producer, who said, "I've seen some of your interviews online, and he goes, I think it would make a great story. Can I get a shopping agreement from you?" What's a shopping agreement? And so he goes, it's just a document that says I can take this out and talk to people and see if we can get somebody to be interested in it. Well, he did that for a while, and then about a year and a half ago, Tommy Dorfman, the actress, came out as trans, and so the producer got together with her manager, and so she actually was interested in this, and then we ended up finding a production company, and they've got a development deal with CBS Studios. So we're trying to put together a
Is it
legal procedural drama about a trans DA in Los Angeles.
So it's a script writing drama, or is it documentary?
It would be a scripted series.
Wow.
And actually working with a writer who's been the main writer, story editor for a series. The production company has already produced at least, as far as I know, 2 series for CBS, and so they're kind of excited about it. So we're meeting next week, and I think we're going to figure out what we're going to do for the final pitch to CBS. So
great. Solomon, we're gonna be popular now. So we got it before the show.
So who knows? Maybe I'll be retiring sooner rather than later.
I know, right?
It's from my job.
Yes. So I'm gonna leave the last part of the show for you to see if you anything you want to talk about to the audience, listeners, or our community.
I don't know. What do people want to know?
This is the first time I asked this question. Usually I say, is there any advice or last word you want to give? So,
well, I
changed to, do you have anything you want to share on the
Well, I know that I'm truly blessed because I have had a pretty seamless transition. Okay. I mean, literally Friday I left as my old self, and Monday I came as Jessie, and was doing the exact same job that I was doing. And I continued to do that for a few years. And in fact, almost 3 years ago, I ended up getting promoted to head a section of my office. And so I supervise 9 other people. And so I wish people could have that experience. I hate that so many of the people in the trans community have to suffer because it's so needless. If, people would just take the time, do a little bit of acceptance, because it's not like the person totally changes. They're still capable of doing their jobs. Exactly. And so many times people get fired or they get put into a different position that is not, appropriate for them. I mean, I have a roommate who, had her bachelor's degree. She had been an executive at a couple of different national companies. Yes. And then she transitioned. And then she was looking for jobs. And I don't know how many rejections she had until she finally was hired for minimum wage at Magic Mountain. Yeah. And here's somebody who's been an executive who has a degree, who is being forced to work a minimum wage job at an amusement park when she's a talented, amazing individual. Now, she has gone on and got additional places that she works for. She now works with the LGBT Center and is getting her master's in psychology and is going to become a therapist. So, nice. But it's hard that people have to suddenly change and do things. If we just let people be themselves, I get so many comments from my coworkers about how much they admire how I've done what I've done.
Yeah, from what I heard, your story just today, I can feel once you're aligned with yourself, a lot of door opens for you. You see, so
it does
because you probably never thought you're gonna be on TV or do any shows. That's one thing. Yeah, see,
that was not my part of my retirement plan initially, but
that's the same experience to me as well. So it somehow just opens a lot of doors once you get acceptance and once you have people who support you, which in my case is my mom, and that's why you and I can open up and show people there's possibility. So when the story like what you just told, it's kind of just compress a person's ability or potential, right? And so that's why people need to learn our stories. Let us tell our own stories, not the other media or social media platform. We can tell our story on our own, and so other people can really see through what's a trans person is about. It's just not changing clothes or switching, from pants to dress. It's not just that.
It's so much more. It's so much internally that I suppressed in myself that I now don't have to. That makes me a much more effective person on a person to person level, because I'm not having those. Having to live a lie.
Right. Just like what you mentioned about your tattoo here. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So thank you for coming to the show with us today.
You're going to have to come out sometime and do like a remote Jesse's hot tub walk.
Okay, I will. And good luck to your show.
Thank you.
If you need any of my help, because I've been doing production before, reach out. But I'm sure you have good people on your side right now. So thank you, and we'll have you back next time when you are already on the drama, okay?
When I'm nominated for an Emmy.
Or Oscar. Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks.
We'll see you guys again next time. Bye.